Welcome back to another video, and I have a lot of thoughts on this just because this has been such a big part of my life for the past 2 years and 3 months. Why 2 years and 3 months? Because when I first started paying off my debts, started learning about financial education, it was exactly 2 years and 3 months ago. It was December 2017, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory on me, but today's topics that we're going to be going over are my debt story, advice for people that are deciding whether or not to go to college or deciding whether or not to continue education. Then we're going to go over a little calculator that I built that takes your loans, it takes your opportunity costs as far as investments. It takes into account things such as your interest rate on your debts. It takes into account your income before and after college. And I think that a lot of people have thought about this tool, but nobody has ever really made this tool and put it out on the internet. This is going to be available. If you want to email me, just hit me up on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram on the screen right now. And if you guys want this tool, I'll definitely email it to you. It was pretty fun making it, and it should be probably the most fun part of the video. So if you want to skip to that, I'm additionally going to put timestamps on the screen here. So if you only want to see a certain topic, then go ahead and feel free to hit that timestamp. And lastly, we're going to go over the proposed solutions for the debt crisis, and we're going to go over what I think about those proposed solutions, and then we will go over my proposed solutions for the debt crisis and ways to get out of debt that don't necessarily include the government, just ways to get out of debt in general. So hopefully you guys like this video, and if you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up and let's get into it. So my debt story started in a very bad way. I basically started out college with no money. I had no money for college, but I ended up joining the army, so I did have a little bit of GI Bill, but at the end of the day, what ended up happening was I took out some personal loans, I took out some student loans, and I ended up with $37K in student debt. I made a really stupid purchase on my car. I ended up with $48K in car debt, and then I had to run up credit card debt, which I'll get into that right now. Basically what happened was I am in the military, which helped me pay for school and end up with less debt than other people that went to my school. My school costed about $27K a year to go there. If you were to just go there, not work, not have any scholarships, school costed $27K a year. I only ended up with $37K of debt, which was a lot better than a lot of people ended up. So $37K student debt, $48K car debt. And once I graduated, I had to wait a while to go to my officer training course. So between then and going to the officer training course, I didn't have any money. So I had to get by some way. So the way that I got by was I racked up a bunch of credit card debt. I racked up about $5K in credit card debt just to get me from the point of graduating to the point of starting to get paid as an officer and getting a job in the lab that I work in. Ended up with $5K in credit card debt. So that put me at a negative $90K net worth. So started out negative $90K. Now that is a lot of debt. So how did I get out of that debt? It all started with the decision to Google how to make money online. When I was younger, I used to do a lot of side hustles. As a kid, I would do things like try to sell candy at recess. I did things like take surveys, which ended up they just sending me a bunch of ads and books. But anyways, I did it again. I was like, how do I make money online? Ended up finding Uber, ended up finding a bunch of side hustles. I found Airbnb and just rental arbitrage. I ended up finding a bunch of channels like Graham Stephan's channel, Financial Education's channel, Meet Kevin's channel, found Dave Ramsey, all those channels. So I started educating myself financially, started figuring out how exactly does one go about getting out of debt. That was step one, getting that education. The next step was reading books and accepting what they said. What were those people saying to me? Those people were saying to me that I'm gonna have to make some drastic measures and I'm gonna have to take some drastic sacrifices. So these are the ways that I ended up getting out of debt. I got out of debt by using Airbnb. So to use Airbnb, I wasn't doing rental arbitrage, I ended up buying a house. So I used my VA loan, ended up buying a house for no money down, and I did Airbnb when I was in the field or just whenever I would leave my house. Whenever I'd leave my house for any amount of time, I would rent my own room from behind myself. Because I did end up buying a house in the rapidly appreciating Seattle market, I did get a little boost because I refinanced out of my old loan in the rapidly appreciating Seattle market. So I did get about a $5K boost from that real estate appreciation. In addition, a blessing in disguise that I got was a night shift job. I really hated it at first because I couldn't go out drinking, I couldn't go out with my old friends, and I ended up losing a lot of friends because I just couldn't hang out with them. They all wanted to hang out at night, they all wanted to drink, but I was at work whenever we had to do that. At first I was trying to show up like for an hour before work, but that was just destroying my sleep-wake cycle. It was destroying my momentum that I was building up in life, and I realized I just don't need that. So I stopped going out, I stopped drinking, I stopped going to clubs, and I just stopped doing those things that I didn't need to be doing while I was that deeply in debt. In addition, I stopped going to the mall. I haven't bought clothes for literally this entire time. I haven't bought any new clothes. A lot of you guys may have noticed that I wear a lot of University of Washington stuff. A lot of you guys might be thinking, man, this dude has a lot of school spirit. Look at how much UW stuff he wears. The reason why I wear a lot of UW stuff is because I got all of it for free. All of that stuff was free because I used to run track on the track team. All of that stuff was free from the track team, so I haven't bought clothes for 2 years and 3 months. Literally haven't been to a mall to buy clothes for 2 years and 3 months. I have not taken a single vacation for the last 2 years and 3 months. Literally not a single vacation that was not paid for 2 years and 3 months. For the last 2 years and 3 months, I've been working 50 to 60 hour weeks every week, week in, week out. It's been tough, but I've gotten through it and it's gotten me out of debt. This March, I will pay off my last debt and I will be above water. My net worth will be about 40K, depending on what this market does, but we will see. But the long and short of the story is that on a meager salary, just because of my side hustles and just because of my savings rate and just because of my investing, I've been able to increase my net worth by $130,000 in 2 years and 3 months because I was dedicated and I was focused. I had to sell my truck, which I loved. I loved that truck. I put speakers in there and I really loved driving that truck around. But I had to sell it because it's just not congruent with having debt. Going further into debt was not what I needed when I was already 37K in debt or 42K in debt. I didn't need more debt, so I ended up switching from that truck to a Toyota Corolla. My payment at the time was about $700, and I calculated about how much I had spent 1 month on my truck, and it was about $1,200. You're not gonna get out of debt spending $1,200 on a truck, so I ended up selling that off. I got into a Toyota Corolla, and now my net worth is going up a lot faster. I only spend about $120 or so on gas each month with that Toyota Corolla, and it's just helping me out to build my net worth to the point where I can afford a truck like that, or a fancy truck. And I might get a truck in the future, but honestly, guys, I don't think I'm ever gonna get a gas truck. I think I'm probably gonna end up with a Cybertruck, but that's just, keep that under wraps because I don't want to end up buying it before I'm ready for it. Probably buy that Cybertruck within the next 5 years. That's a good target. And the last thing that really helped me get out of debt was I scrutinized my budget and I lived on less than minimum wage. I've calculated it out and I still would have been able to save even if I was living on less than minimum wage. So most of my money came from side hustles. Most of my money came from doing things like studies. I've actually done 2 videos called 10 Side Hustles for 2020, and the other one I believe is called How Much Money Could I Invest on Minimum Wage? But I've lived on beans and rice, as Dave Ramsey would say, rice and beans, and it's helped me increase my net worth, like I said, by $130,000 in the past 2 years and 3 months. Let me tell you guys, it was not fun, but as I sat there, 90K in debt, I knew that I had to do something drastic. I knew that it was not going to be a fun time getting out of this debt, paying all this money, that I was going to end up with a piece of paper and a vehicle. That's all I have to show for it. A piece of paper and a vehicle, and a little bit of a 401k account. Now that I've been through all that and I know how much work it takes to get out of that much debt, I'm really not in any rush to go back into any debt. I don't think I'll ever go back into definitely not any bad debt, but I'm even considering whether I even want to go into good debt. Do I even want to invest in real estate? I mean, I'm doing pretty well in stocks. I got like a 42% return last year, so I don't think that's sustainable. We're having a correction that we absolutely needed, but I don't even know if I want to go into real estate until I can buy cash. I hate to say it, but I think I might be becoming a Ramsey head. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't like debt. I don't like it at all. All right, so now you guys know a little bit about me and my story, my disposition on debt, and let's get into the next topic of discussion, and that is a little bit of advice for people that are thinking about continuing education. So whether that is you're thinking about going into grad school or you're thinking about going to, your first college degree, one thing that I will say is before you decide to get a college degree, I would personally like to see you hit a roadblock that says, I need a college degree to continue. A lot of times we end up in jobs for, I think it was 40% of people that went to college ended up in jobs that they did not need their college degree. I would like to see people at least try to work. For example, let's say that you want to be a lawyer. You should go be a paralegal first. Go be a paralegal, go be some type of assistant. If you want to be a doctor, make sure that you go be a scribe first. Go do something in that field first, just to make sure that you even like it. For example, I went in and I did a little bit of, I wouldn't call it medical assisting because words have meaning, a medical assistant is a real thing, but I went in and I helped nurses. And I realized I do not want to be a nurse, and then I went and helped doctors, and I realized I do not want to be a doctor. But that was all the way at the end of my biology career, and that was when I was already getting ready to go take the MCAT and all of that. I realized, holy shit, I don't want to be a doctor. And that was just way too late to realize that. I mean, I could have realized that a lot sooner if I would have just gone in to work first, at least taken a gap year to just work and just see what I'm even interested in. My second point is that you do not need college to be economically successful, and college is inherently a financial decision. Now, for me, look, I understand. Some people say, college is not a financial decision. I want to go to college because I want to learn this and I want to learn that. Well, I understand that, but here's what I'll say. And I'm going to save people thousands of dollars if they will take on this thought. I went to college, and when I saw all the course catalogs, I saw some classes that I really wanted to take. For example, there was a history of black feminism class. Now, there's two options. You can either go in, you can take that class, or you can get you can get a gender and women's studies degree, which I'm not sure what gender and women's studies jobs are out there. And I'm not even bad-mouthing that degree. But what I'm doing is proposing an alternative. The alternative is to do what I did. I saw that class. Instead of enrolling in the class, I went to the reading list. I got the book. So here's the book. Now, I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm reading the book. Another example for you guys. I always wanted to know behavioral psychology, but I did not want a psychology degree because generally speaking with psychology degrees, you have to take it all the way through, and I didn't want to take it all the way through. Didn't want to be a psychologist. So what did I do? I saw a class that I was interested in, and I just bought the book. Thinking back on it, that was a pretty bad decision. I bought it on debt, but I just bought the book. So now I've got this book, and whenever I want to go ahead and learn the contents of that book, I will learn the contents of that book. So what's the point of sharing all that? The point is, if you want to learn, get the book. Get a book. You can find knowledge anywhere. You can find knowledge all over the internet. You can find verified knowledge all over Wikipedia. If you want to learn, just go learn. But if you want to make money and make a financial decision, then you need to do the math. So that's what we're about to do. We're about to do the math. All right. Here we go. All right. Hopefully you guys can hear what is going on. All right, so this is the calculator that I made. Basically what I did was I took a mortgage calculator and I jerry-rigged it so that it is a net worth calculator based on... Basically what I did was I took this calculator and I made it a net worth calculator, and it just compares what your net worth would be if you did not go to college versus if you do go to college. So you can put this in. If you guys want this, just hit me up on Instagram and I will send you this. You can put in your loan amount, you can put in your interest rate, loan term, which usually is 10 to 7 years for college loan, payments made per year, all of these things. You put in all of these things, and basically what I did over here is that these numbers, some of them you just enter yourself. So here I said that this person made $50,000 before tax in college. I took a 24% tax rate here. That's what we pay here in Washington. This should probably be, I think that tax rate should be a little bit different. But once I send this to you, you could change that tax rate there. If you have state taxes, we don't have state taxes in Washington, so you could change that. Got the tax rate in there. So basically what we've got here is after this person gets done saving, I've got them spending the same amount. They're both spending $19,000 per year, and then it calculates the savings rate. So this person, had a 50% savings rate before college, let's say they're living with their parents or they're living very cheaply, maybe they're living on a bunk bed, making some sacrifices. They're both spending $19,000 a year. And basically, this person in college gets to start investing as soon as they get done with college. As soon as they get done with high school and they just go start working. This person over here, we're basically assuming that their net worth goes negative by this amount, right? So in this case, we assume that their net worth goes negative by $25,000 a year based on whatever college they went to. You could change that up, and that's going to change the scenario. So just given this scenario, this is based off my own numbers. This is based off of an average student at the University of Washington. Let's say that they were able to get $4,000 in grants. The thing costs about $29,000, so this is pretty reasonable. 5%, you could change that up, down. But anyways, basically what we see happen is this person who goes to college, they have zero investing until they pay off their student debts. And this over here is going to calculate how long it takes to pay their student debts off. So this is the year. We're saying that they start college in 2020. Over here, it takes them until 2027 to pay off their student debts. This person is making $70K a year. So based off of their income, they're able to pay off their student debts by paying absolutely everything into their student debts. They're able to pay off their student debt in 2 years. Basically, these are just side by sides. It's just taking the prior amount, adding the savings rate to it, and then you're just timesing it by 8%. In this scenario, by 2032, the person who did not go to college has a net worth of $389,000, whereas the person who did go to college, they have a net worth of $252,000. Now, obviously, the person who did go to college in this scenario, they are going to eventually pass this person. But that is assuming that the person who did not go to college continues to make $50K throughout their entire life. Now, let's just say that the person not going to college is some type of an entrepreneur, watches videos such as these, and has some type of desire to increase their income, start businesses, and things of that nature. They're not likely to make $50K a year. And even if they did make $50K a year their entire career, they're still, after 12 years, they're still having a higher net worth than the person who went to college. Now, if we start to shift around some of these numbers, then this program starts to kind of break down a little bit, and you're going to have to switch some things around. Like, let's say that we make this 90K instead of 70K. Now what do we got? We've got $4,100 to put towards the loan amount. So now that we made this 90K, what we're going to need to do is take this is the money that they're able to save. So we can put this extra payment over here, and I'm going to go ahead and skip forward, and we'll just see what the difference is over here when the net worths cross over. So basically what we'd have to do to reorganize this sheet over here is we'd have to say 1, 2, 3, 4 years of college, and then they end up paying it off in 1, 2 years. Now we can see that if this person goes from making $50K to making $90K after paying off that debt, their net worth ends up exceeding the person who is making $50K after 2033. So it's not necessarily always a good idea to go to college unless you're going to make a substantially greater income, depending on the amount of debt you're going to take on, depending on the interest rate, and just depending on all of those factors. There's all these factors you need to take into account. So if you guys do want this calculator, please do hit me up on Instagram, and I'll send it over to you guys, and you guys can decide whether or not it makes financial sense for you guys to actually go to college. This is a very rough calculator, but if you guys want to use it, it is pretty versatile. It's just, like I said, it's adapted from a mortgage calculator, and it's pretty, if you're good at Excel, it's pretty easy to use. A little bit complicated if not, but I can walk you through it. Just hit me up on Instagram and we'll walk through it. All right, now let's get into the political aspects of this. And the first question is, will it help the economy to eliminate student debts? Now, it depends on how they go about this. If they go about this by taxing the rich and they end up funneling that money to the poor, the issue that I see with that is that not necessarily that, oh, I want to protect the rich, or I don't think the rich should pay their fair share in taxes. If you flood money into an economy that is already being flooded by the Fed, all that does is just increase asset prices. The expectation is that when you give people the ability to have money, they're going to, go buy businesses, and they're going to go start businesses, they're going to go buy homes, but that's not necessarily the truth. In addition, I mean, the economy does not necessarily need to be lifted right now. Assets are already overpriced. We're already in a bubble, in an economic bubble. Things like economic slowdowns, they're healthy. They need to happen, and that's a controversial thing to say, I've noticed. But basically what happens, without getting too far into the weeds, is that eventually people start overspending, people start taking out too much debt, and that debt eventually needs to be paid back. You can't just live above your means forever, and we are living above our means as a country. So if we were to just flood more money into the economy, then that money necessarily has to go somewhere. I mean, the way that I see pouring money into the economy and that nature, into people that went into significant debt's hands, is that they will probably just go right back into that debt. It will also inflate the economy, which inflates asset prices. Who benefits from asset prices going up? The people who own assets. Boosting up the economy in this way is going to lead to increased prices of goods. And when goods go up in price, then businesses become more valuable, and the people who own businesses are the rich. So I just don't see this as an actual benefit to the poor. But people like myself, if I just made $103K last year with before write-offs, do you really need to put $38K in my pocket? I mean, is giving me $141,000 really helping the poor? I don't really think so. So I think there needs to be some stipulations on who is getting this money, because not everyone needs it. Some people just need to scratch and just get out of there, but other people, maybe more so. Maybe they don't have the income potential to get out of their situation, so maybe we forgive them, which is the next topic of discussion, the debt jubilee. So this is talked about mostly by Elizabeth Warren. I haven't seen anything about it by Bernie Sanders, but basically the idea is that there's a provision in the law that allows, I forget exactly who, I'll probably put it on the screen right now. Or not. I'm fucking done with this video. Basically, there's a provision in the law that allows student debts to be forgiven and not paid back. So who that ripple effect affects, I'm not sure. I'm not necessarily against that. But if we do that, if we do that, we should at least stop issuing the student loans afterwards. Just in my personal opinion. Honestly, the biggest beneficiaries of this are people who took out student debt and used it to increase their income potential, and now they're making more money, and we're talking about giving them more money. Another beneficiary of this are the politicians who are promising to pay this back. Now the millennial generation is a very large generation. Other generations are starting to dwindle in number as far as voting population. So the politicians benefit from this policy. Do I think it's going to happen? I really don't think that this has the potential of happening. Not that I don't think that it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just another thing in the long road of life that we're all going through. So let's talk about who is Wall Street. Okay, Wall Street is not necessarily who you think it is. It's not the big banks. It is everyone who participates in the stock market. So you are Wall Street. I am Wall Street. If you have a 401k, that 401k is Wall Street. So everyone pays for this. Is taxing your 401k a good thing or a bad thing to pay back student debts? I'm not sure. I mean, people who don't have student debts, they probably don't want to be taxed for someone who took out student debts, which brings up the next question. Is it fair? Is it fair for people to have their student debts paid off? I think that is a lot stickier of a question that I'm really willing to step in, just because there's so much nuance. Every single person that you bring up to this question, the answer would be different. So as far as the conditions to what is fair, a lot of people on the right will say, it is not fair that I went through all of it, skipped all these vacations, worked really hard, and my neighbor who took vacations, bought a fancy car, and all these things, gets his student debts paid off, her student debts paid off, because just some, because some money just fell from the sky. Is it fair? I tend to think it's not necessary. I mean, people will say, we bailed out Wall Street, we bailed out the banks, but I mean, the banks, that's where everybody's money is. Student debts, I don't know if that's necessarily necessary. I don't know if I necessarily see that comparison there, especially just given my story and how hard I had to work to get out. It was not fun, and I wouldn't wish it on people, but I just think that people can make it out of their debts. If you take out debt, you should pay back your debt. That's just my opinion. All right, and the last thing, what would I do? So some of you guys may have seen my last video, But there is one solution that I've offered in there, but there are plenty of solutions that we could offer for this student loan crisis. One that the government is not even exploring right now is that the government could acquire a private online school. Now, if you take school online, you don't have to pay as much for faculties, for facilities. You can just do the tests in person. It would be a difficult system to implement. Initially, there'd be a lot of upfront work, but I think that that's the best way to make things free. And just because they're free online does not mean that you necessarily need to go to that free college online, but making it available just makes the opportunities available for free. It just makes the opportunities equal around the country. So if anyone can go become an engineer, or anyone can go and get the knowledge required for these employment opportunities, then that just makes things a little bit more equitable, and it makes America stronger, in my opinion. For the most part, we all have access to the internet, and if we don't have access to the internet, we at least have access to a library. And if we don't have access to a library, then we can make sure that people have access to libraries that cost a lot less than paying off people's student debts. I don't think that it would cost $1.6 trillion to make public colleges accessible for people to get on the internet and take their online courses. Now, something like this is feasible. I mean, there's been entire classes that I went to at UW that I did not even attend the classes. I just watched the lectures online, I showed up to the test, and I got a decent grade in the class. So this is completely feasible that they could have test centers and just give the lectures online. There's a thing that we had called Panopto on UW that you could go and you could watch the lectures, you could watch old lectures. These lectures already exist. I mean, you could very easily just go watch these old lectures and then come and take the test. I mean, all you would really need is a study group, these lectures, and a test center, and you can take the classes. Another thing that should be instituted is that you should be able to declare bankruptcy on your student loans. You can declare bankruptcy on your other loans. You should be able to declare bankruptcy on your student loans. And different degrees should cost different amounts of money, just like other things have different costs. I mean, you shouldn't be charging the same amount for different degrees with different earning potentials. That's not how investments are priced, and that's what college is. College is an investment. So if your investment does not have a very high ROI, which we just talked a little bit about ROI on your education, if your investment doesn't have a very high ROI, it shouldn't cost very much. So, you know, I'm not going to give any examples just because I don't want to offend anybody, but if your investment doesn't have that high of an ROI, it shouldn't cost that much. Something that many people do, and a lot of my classmates did, just because that's who I was hanging out with, they joined the Army. So that's another thing that I did to pay off my loans, was I joined the Army. Another thing that you can do is get educated through your employer. A lot of degrees are offered through my employer for free. A lot of people don't know this. You can get educated for free through your employer. There's a lot of associate's degrees, there's some bachelor's degrees, and sometimes they'll pay for your master's program if you pledge to work for them for a certain amount of time. So that's something that people don't know, and that's just money, that's free money. It's out there, it's available, but you just got to find it. Maybe it's not at your company, maybe it's at a different company. You need to go find those types of company. I think that we're moving towards an online education system. I think that we're moving towards this kind of hive mind, but that is, you know, some sci-fi stuff that I kind of keep to myself, and it's a little weird, but my man Elon, he's the one who's moving us towards all that stuff. So if we can go to Mars, I think we can have an online education system. We can educate ourselves and have our kids be self-determined. A lot of kids come up and they don't know what the heck they want to do. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and it just leads them to, you know, have a lot of useless knowledge in their heads. I think people would graduate a lot sooner than age 18 if they really cared about what they were doing. So hopefully you guys got some good information out of this video. If you guys do want that calculator, go ahead and hit me up on Instagram, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hit the like button before you guys go, and thanks for watching.